So today we are gonna discuss comparison exercise with dumbbell kickback versus cable kickback with the help of load and force diagram. In the last video I covered how to do a dumbbell kickback in a proper form, and even we discussed about the triceps anatomy and triceps function, origins and insertion as well. So before going to the comparison, let's understand what load and force diagram says. So load and force diagram says it's actually a line diagram to understand it in a easiest way. So in this diagram we will come to know, so when you are performing exercise, where exactly the load is acting and where exactly the force is acting. That is what we will come to know with this. So now let's understand the dumbbell kickback. So this is the shoulder joint, the elbow joint, the wrist joint. So when you are carrying the dumbbell here, so this is what the position is, the initial position. So at this position you can see clearly here the load is acting downwards, because you are carrying a dumbbell, load will always act downwards, and to lift the load you are generating a force in this direction. That means you are from here you are extending your elbow in this direction. But at this form, so this is before initial position, this is final position, the force is exactly opposite to the load. That means whatever the load you are carrying, that is completely carried or completely lift from the triceps muscle itself. So clearly you can see here at the initial position it is not like that. The load is acting downwards and force is acting in this direction. But in the final position, this is like force is exactly opposite to the load. That means at this position it is more effective, but at this position the tension is not there in your triceps. So now we'll see what actually happens with the cable triceps kickback. So you can clearly see here the same orientation is here, same diagram is here. So this is the cable, this is the pulley. So actually the force which is generating here is in this direction, but meanwhile the load is acting in this direction. So that means in the initial position as well, the force is exactly opposite to the load. So that means at this position also, when you are starting, in the starting position also, it is the complete load which you are carrying is completely lifting from the triceps only. So once you kick it back, and this is the final position, here also exactly the load, the force which is acting is exactly opposite to the load. That means throughout the repetition, when you are doing the cable kickback for triceps, throughout the repetition, the force is exactly opposite to the load. That means if you compare this and this, doing with the cable is more effective than doing with the dumbbell. And then range of motion is also more here. Here also range of motion is more, but the load which is acting, that is from at the starting point to the end point. Even you can increase the range of motion here as well. Instead of, you can keep it here only, but in this, when you are doing with the dumbbell, you can't take it completely here to maintain tension. Here, so when you are doing with the dumbbell, instead of keeping it exactly here, you can keep it bit here, so that you can maintain the tension in the triceps. But when it comes to cable, even you can take it till here as well. Okay, this is the advantage, so that you can increase the range of motion. This is actually a theoretical part. So let's move on to the practical one. So let's understand the practical now. So I will show you the basic method to perform a dumbbell kickback. So you come to quarter position. So from here, carry dumbbell. So make sure from shoulder to elbow should be parallel with the floor. So then now, so you can see what I explained in the theory part. So when my dumbbell is here, the load is acting in this direction, downward direction. The force which I am creating in this direction. Okay, so from here till here. But at this position, the load and force are exactly opposite to the opposite. The load and force are exactly opposite. That means whatever the load I am carrying, it is carried from my triceps muscle. So as I explained with the cable, in the initial position also, so what happens in the initial position? The load is exactly opposite to the force. So how? We'll see that now. So before going to that, so what you need to understand is, whenever you are fixing the height of the cable, so what you need to do, you need to make sure your shoulder to elbow should be parallel with this. So if it is, should be parallel with this. So this should be, this line should be parallel with this. It should not be like this or like this too much. Okay, it should be parallel with this. So now, so when I am at the initial position also, the force, the load is actually acting in this direction. The force I am generating, it is acting in this direction. So that means at this position also, my triceps is under continuous tension. Even I said you can even increase the range of motion. So when you are doing with dumbbell, you should be here only to start with. But when you are doing with cable, even you can go till here. So that you feel the engagement in your triceps muscle. So from here, you are kicking it away from you. Then take it back slowly. Usually you are resisting because of the load, it is going down, but you are resisting it. You are not leaving it easily. Then only you feel tension in your, triceps muscle. So kick it back, slowly take it down. So at this position also, the load is exactly opposite to the force. That means we come to the conclusion that kickback is more effective when you are performing with the cable. So that's the end of the video. I hope you guys understood both theoretical and the practical part. Finally, we concluded that so doing a kickback for triceps is more effective when you are doing with cable than with the dumbbell. But I suggest you can try both the things. Like it's not like don't fix to only this one. If you're fixing to this one, is also fine. But for a change, you try this one also sometimes. Try with the dumbbell also sometimes, and try with the cable also. So I hope you guys like this video. If you like this video, please click the like button and subscribe my channel. It is free. You can subscribe my channel and then keep supporting. So I'll meet you in the next video. Until then, stay fit, stay healthy, stay happy. Bye bye.